Hi everyone, it's Allison. It is the weekend here as I'm filming this, and I'm thinking about doing something a little bit different today. I tend to stay pretty busy on the weekends, catching up on things around the house, doing things with my kids, or, working on stuff for the blog or my YouTube channel. But I have been very under the weather this past week. We got back from a spring break trip last weekend, which was great. We saw my parents, we went to the beach, the kids had a great time, we went to Universal, got a little downtime, but at the same time it was super packed, super crazy. We had a lot of really early mornings, and of course, as soon as I got back, I got sick. So my COVID tests have been negative, but I've been fighting off this head cold all week, and really the worst part has been the fatigue that I've been dealing with. So anyway, all of this to say that I think I need some downtime this weekend, and I do have the house to myself along with Sunny here. So what I want to do is finally dive into Daisy Jones and the Six. Now, you've probably heard about this. This is a new limited series on Prime Video based on the book by Taylor Jenkins Reid. It's written as an oral history of the rise and fall of this fictional 70s rock band called Daisy Jones and the Six. The book is set up as interviews with all of the key players from this rock band's era 40 years after this notorious breakup. And it chronicles all of the relationships, the drama, and all of the sex, drugs, and rock and roll that go along with being a huge rock band in the 70s. Now, the reasons behind the band's breakup are kind of a mystery to the public, so this is the first time that the whole story is being revealed to the public, and of course, 40 years on, the stories don't always match up. The show, from what I understand, is pretty consistent with the book, with the exception, instead of going 40 years ahead, they've gone 20 years ahead, and that apparently is more due to the practicality of aging the actors. So that's the main difference that I've read about from the book, but I'm really interested to see what some of the other differences might be. So I was thinking back on my experience of reading the book for the first time, and I actually listened to it on audio. Now, the audiobook cast is amazing. It includes actors like Benjamin Bratt, Jennifer Beals, and Judy Greer, and really the production is just exceptional. It's a wonderful audiobook. The thing about it that I had trouble with is there were so many characters. I had trouble tracking who was speaking throughout the audiobook, just trying to discern them voice to voice. So I remember a lot of frustration listening to the audiobook, and that really took me out of the story. So while I enjoyed Daisy Jones and the Six, and I thought it was worth listening to, and I thought it was a great book, I have always meant to go back to the print version of the book to see if that worked better for me. So since I'm deliberately trying to kind of lay low this weekend, and I don't really want to spend the whole weekend just binging a show, I thought what I would do is kind of combine my binges and combine my rest and alternate reading part of the book and then watching an episode of the series. So I'll be taking you along with me and sharing my thoughts, and I guess we'll see how this goes. So let's grab some tea, grab the book, and we'll get started. So I am about 70 or so pages into Daisy Jones and the Six. And here's the thing, I am still, even in the print version, finding it a little hard to track the characters. I think I have most of the band members straight. But there are all these other side characters that they're introducing that are sort of introduced by name and by title. And then there's really no action associated with them, so they just kind of start talking at you, and I don't really have a way to keep it straight in my brain who these people are. So there's all these names kind of popping up in the text, and I think what I'm going to do is make a character list for myself, and if you think you would find it interesting, maybe I'll post it on the website so you can kind of track the characters as well. But I think what I'm going to do is make that list, just go back through the book a little bit and kind of keep track of who everyone is, and then I will turn on the show. So just a few thoughts after the first episode. They did a great job casting this show. Sam Claflin and Riley Keough and all of the rest of the cast are really well done. I do find, having listened to the audio, that the actress, I think it's Suki Waterhouse, who plays Karen, is a little bit jarring because Judy Greer did her voice in the audiobook, and she's got a great voice, but she's kind of got that element of sort of, I don't know, neuroticism or something kind of through it, and Suki Waterhouse is very different from that. So it'll be interesting to watch that character play out and the relationships and things that are coming in the story. I am a little bit further along in the book than this first episode, so I think I'm going to go ahead and just watch the second one before I get back to the book, and here we go. One other thing I wanted to mention before I get too far into the second episode, I do wish they had kept the storyline of Chuck, the original band member, having to go to Vietnam after he got drafted and then getting killed in Vietnam, rather than having Chuck go off to college to become a dentist. I just felt that was really kind of emblematic of the time. It happened, obviously frequently to people who were drafted, kind of upended their lives, often lost their lives in Vietnam. And I just thought that was kind of a really poignant part of the story that was left out of the TV version. So I just finished episode 2, and I will say that if you want to do a read-along and as you watch, reading through about page 76 or up to the section in the book where it says first 1974 to 1975 will take you really accurately through episode 2, so that's a good way to plan your reading if you're planning to read along with the show. A couple things I was thinking as I was watching: Riley Keough's, or Daisy's, style of singing in this episode, it really reminded me of kind of Dar Williams, if you're familiar with her. She's kind of a folky singer, and it's really different from what I pictured Daisy's singing style to be, so I'm really interested to see how that evolves as she gets to join the Six and if that changes a lot on the show. I also read that both Riley Keough and Sam Claflin, they didn't have any singing experience prior to this, and they did a lot of training, a lot of vocal training. I think they're both really great in this show. So enjoying it so far. I'm going to get back to the book for a little while. Probably will read some tonight, maybe watch one more episode. It's obviously dark, the lighting here is terrible, but it's kind of been a nice relaxing day doing a little bit of reading, a little bit of watching, and I'll probably pick it up tomorrow. Not sure if I'll get through it this weekend, but here we go. Good morning. It is Sunday morning here. Good morning from Sunny and me. I did a little more reading and watching last night and this morning. Right now, I'm at about page 200 in the book, and I just finished episode 5. So if you're looking for a marker, if you're trying to read along too, a really good place to read up to is about page 172. That kind of coincides with the end of episode 5. This is partway through the section called Aurora. And the last line of that section, Daisy says, I knew it was going to be huge. I really think even then I knew. So if you're reading on an e-reader or maybe a paperback that the page numbers don't coincide, that's where you can read up to and then watch up through episode 5. So a few thoughts on what I've been reading and watching last night and this morning. I was thinking about the Karen and Graham relationship. It is a little bit different. I'm not quite sure I really like the way that it's going. Karen only seems to like Graham kind of because another girl says that she does, but I will be interested to see how that relationship plays out. I know it's kind of an important side story in the book. I liked how they showed the collaboration of the band in this episode, and they kind of get at, the bitterness of the band and how Billy kind of takes over everything and how everybody else wants to contribute more. I did feel like they left out some of that intense bitterness that Eddie felt in the book, so I'm kind of interested to see if they pursue that. There was this really small moment in the book that I really enjoyed. I don't think that they'll probably show that in the show, but there's just this small moment of Warren and Daisy working together and how they actually seem to work well together, and they both kind of seem to just leave their egos at the door and are able to give one another feedback and not be offended by that. I really like that moment, and I would love to see more of that in the show. Warren is actually one of my favorite characters in the show. He's got this really funny sense of humor. Every time he talks in those interviews, he kind of makes me laugh, and I feel like he's missing that personality in the book, so I love that they brought that out in him in the show. So one thing that is kind of starting to bother me a little bit is that Pete is just not a character in the show at all. When they named the band the Six, they kind of vaguely included Camilla in the Six, but it was still just a band of 5 in the show, and I just thought that was a really weird choice. It's very glaring to me, even though Pete is really not a prominent character in the book at all. He really doesn't appear in the interviews. I think there's probably a reason for that, but he is the 6th member of the band, and maybe, I don't know, maybe they just felt like he wasn't a strong enough character, or it would be too many people to kind of track. Maybe that's why they left him out, but again, strange choice to me. And I am finally at the point in the book where Mick Riva shows up. Now, if you're familiar with the Taylor Jenkins Reid world, you know that Mick Riva is a character that has appeared in the last 4 of her books. That is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, Malibu Rising, this book, Daisy Jones of the Six, and finally Carrie Soto is Back. Now, his most prominent role in any of these books is in Malibu Rising, where we sort of learn more about who Mick Riva is. But he does make an appearance in this book, just past what I mentioned before, page 172. He shows up at this party at Daisy's cottage. So that's where that cameo is, if you've kind of been searching for all of the Mick Riva references in the Taylor Jenkins Reid world. One other thing that did come up in the book that I'm kind of glad they brought up, but I wish that Taylor Jenkins Reid would have pursued it more, and I am wondering if they'll pursue it at all on the show, is sort of Camilla'S struggles as a wife who's kind of taking on all of the responsibilities at home. Now, in the book, she has twins as well as Julia, 3 under 3. She's kind of doing this all on her own. You know, Billy is off recording, sometimes late into the night. So far in the show, they've kind of just shown her as being content in this role as the primary parent without a whole lot of support at home. But, you know, any mom can tell you it's hard to be at home alone with kids all day long and then late into the night without that additional support. So she kind of briefly brings it up to Karen at one point in the book, but then she just sort of brushes it off, saying, oh, I love my life, I love my life. I'm interested to see if the twins actually show up in the show. So far, they haven't mentioned anything about Billy and Camilla having twins, but also her struggles as a mom at home, kind of on her own. So that's where I am. I'm feeling just a little bit better today. Still kind of fighting off this cold. I am hoping to get out for a little walk, get some movement in, but really I think the day of rest has helped, and I really just need to be up to 100% this week after being kind of in a brain fog last week. So I'm going to enjoy resting a little bit more, reading and watching today. It's been really fun to do this kind of side-by-side book and show. I've never done this before, so I hope you're enjoying it as well. I'm back. I am through episode 7 and I have about 80 pages left in the book. So if you are looking for your markers, read up to about page 248 in the hardback version of the book. And that will take you actually a little bit further than episode 7 takes you. But that's a pretty close alignment if you're looking to read along. So thoughts on this. So Camilla, they did address her struggles a little bit as a single mom. No twins in the show, but I did think it was really interesting that after Camilla has this realization that something may be going on with Billy and Daisy, they sort of imply in the book that she had something happen with somebody from her past that Billy didn't know. But in the show, and this is a spoiler, she slept with Eddie in the show. So I thought that was a really interesting change, maybe building some of that tension with Eddie that I think is coming up later in the story. I have to talk about that big moment between Billy and Daisy when they kiss in the show. So this is very different than in the book. So in the book, they're working together and they have a moment Daisy kind of initiates a kiss with Billy. It just barely happens. It basically doesn't happen at all. And he stops it. And then he goes on to discuss his struggles with his feelings, but he ultimately feels pretty proud of himself that he made the right decision. But of course, in the show, there is a big actual kiss that he initiates, and then there is tension afterwards as they're both kind of struggling with their feelings, and then the story kind of follows the course that it did in the book, with Daisy writing this big kind of bitter song. She runs off on vacation to Greece in the show rather than Phuket, which happened in the book. And then it progresses from there, where she meets this man named Nicky, who again is different in the show than he was in the book. So in the book, he's kind of this con artist Italian. I feel like in the show they kind of made him a little bit more sympathetic. He's Irish, not shown to be a drug addict, which he was shown to be in the book. He was definitely more sympathetic. Yeah, this kind of sad backstory. So I was definitely wondering where they were going to go with this character. It seems like they're actually presenting him as a little bit more insidious than just kind of a con artist. He kind of drives a wedge between Daisy and Simone, who is really Daisy's only support system. Simone as well, I thought was really, I really liked how they presented her in the show versus the book. I've had thoughts while reading throughout the book that Simone, I mean, she's a star in her own right. Her only purpose is to discuss Daisy, which felt a little bit weird to me, but she was kind of given her own storyline in episode 7, where we get kind of a backstory of her struggles to rise to fame, a storyline about this relationship, this gay relationship that she's in, kind of her own internal struggles with that in the 70s. Much more about her actual trip to find Daisy after Daisy sends her this telegram that sounds panicked, but really she just wants Simone there for her wedding. I really liked that Simone kind of took center stage in episode 7. I thought that was a really interesting way of telling the story. So I have about 3 episodes left and about 80 pages left in the book. I think this afternoon I'm going to take Sunny for a little walk. She's definitely getting a little antsy. We both could use some fresh air. So I think I might finish today, might be tonight. So if I do, I will probably finish filming my thoughts in the morning, and we will wrap this up and see how it all comes together, both book and show. So here we are. I did finish the book and the series in one weekend. Overall, there were some major differences. If you've read the book, there are some spoilers coming here, so if you want to avoid those, don't watch. In the book, Teddy Price actually dies, and that sparks a little bit of spiraling and kind of a difference in Billy and Daisy's relationship. Billy does kind of start spiraling, but he doesn't go back to drinking in the way that he does in the series. And in the book, Daisy had just come to Billy and asked for help getting sober, and Billy was ready to help her, but that never really happened in the series because obviously Teddy didn't die. As I mentioned previously, the whole Billy and Daisy relationship kind of plays out differently in the series. In the book, there was just really kind of a lot of tension between them. They were attracted to one another, they acknowledged this, but they didn't act on it in the way that they did in the series. Now, I think everything was just sort of amped up for drama effect, but that really made a big difference, I think, in how they presented their characters. I really felt like in the book, Billy had a lot more strength of character. He really stuck to his convictions on what he needed to do, both with his addictions and his attraction to Daisy. And that was very different for his overall character in the series. Now, especially in these last few episodes, there were a number of key conversations and lines that were really pivotal moments in the book, and those were kept in the series. But I thought it was so interesting because the context of many of those key moments and lines was changed. They happened between different people or in different situations. So it didn't really change the overall effect of the story, but I just thought those decisions were very interesting in how they changed when and how those conversations happened. So as I just mentioned, there were definitely aspects in the series that were played up for drama's sake, whereas the book just sort of relied on a lot of kind of underlying tension, less action. We kind of had more access to the thoughts of the characters. Even though the format was sort of the same with the interviews, the series definitely played up a lot of those kind of feelings for drama's sake. Ultimately, of course, there are always changes from book to screen in any adaptation, and overall I was pretty happy with this adaptation. I really enjoyed watching it. Overall thoughts on this way of reading and watching. Particularly for a book like Daisy Jones, I loved reading along with the series. Now this whole story is kind of a capital E experience. We've got the history, the drama, the kind of glitz and glamour of rock band life, got the clothes, and of course the music. I think that's why people really loved the full cast audiobook, because it kind of brought you deeper into that whole experience of Daisy Jones and the Six. And the series just serves to do that even more. It takes the reader and the watcher even deeper into this world of Daisy Jones and the Six. You get to go into the arenas, you get to hear the music that's only been on the page before. And it's really just a full immersion into this whole series. So I would say that yes, I do recommend reading and watching the two together. I think they accompany each other so well. I mean, you could even do this with the audiobook, and I think you'll get a different experience with both. I do plan on giving this a try again, probably with the new series, The Power, which is based on a dystopian novel that came out a few years ago that I enjoyed. I probably won't be able to binge and read it all in one weekend again, but you know, reading and watching over a week or so is fine too. I think I'll get a similar experience. Give me a like and a subscribe if you enjoyed this and want to see more of it. Thanks for sticking with me as I experimented with this kind of new to me vlogging format. I'll probably give it a try again and learn some more things as I go. But I'd love to know your thoughts on Daisy Jones and the Six, book, audiobook, or series. So please share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching.